Welcome to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, a quiet little corner where gentle stories and the soft movement of paint across a canvas come together to help you relax, slow down, and gently drift toward a peaceful sleep. As you settle in, perhaps lying comfortably in your bed or resting softly on your couch, allow your breathing to become calm and steady. The lights around you may be dim, and on the screen you can see slow, peaceful brushstrokes moving gently across a canvas, shapes forming slowly and quietly. There is nothing you need to do right now. No rushing. No thinking about tomorrow. Just listen and relax. Tonight, we are going to explore the story of one of the most famous music festivals in the world, Coachella. Today, Coachella is known as a huge celebration of music, fashion, art, and culture. Every year, thousands and thousands of people travel from all around the world just to be there. Famous musicians stand on giant stages, soft lights glowing. Celebrities move quietly through the crowds, and everywhere there are colors, desert sunsets, and warm golden skies. But there is something many people don't know. Coachella was not always like this. It was not always big, it was not always successful, and it did not become famous overnight. Like many gentle stories, it began quietly, almost uncertain, with a small group of people who simply believed something special could happen in the desert. Back to the early days, when this idea was just beginning, because long before the crowds, the bright lights, the global fame, there was only a simple vision, a vision of open-air music, and people coming together for art and sound. But the path was not easy. There were challenges, financial struggles, doubts, quiet moments. Step by step, year by year, it slowly found its way. And tonight, as your body rests deeper into your pillow and your mind becomes softer and quieter, we will walk gently together through this journey, from early struggles to quiet failures and finally to its rise. So take a slow breath. Notice the calm, the gentle rhythm of this moment. Our journey is just beginning. So let us gently drift back to the year 1999. A quiet moment. Back then, there was no global festival. No massive stages, no huge social media buzz. There was only an idea. Soft, simple, uncertain. And like many bold ideas, it sounded a little unusual at first. In the late 1990s, a concert promotion company called Golden Voice began thinking about creating something new. Something different from the usual music events people were used to attending. At that time, music festivals already existed, but most of them took place in busy cities, inside stadiums, or in locations that felt safe and familiar. But the people at Golden Voice were imagining something else entirely. They wondered, what if a festival could happen somewhere unexpected? Somewhere wide and open. Somewhere that felt magical and free. And slowly, the idea began to take shape. Instead of a crowded city, they chose the desert. A wide, open landscape, far away from noise, a place surrounded by mountains, where the sky felt bigger and the air felt different. Just imagine it for a moment. A music festival in the middle of a desert, far from major cities, with warm sunlight during the day, cool winds at night. and very few comforts compared to today. For many people, the idea sounded completely unrealistic. Some even said it was a terrible plan. A music event in such a place, with difficult weather and long travel distances? Many believed it would fail before it even began. But sometimes, the ideas that sound the most unusual are the ones that slowly change everything. And as the paintbrush moves gently across the canvas in front of you, you may notice your shoulders relaxing just a little more. Because this story, like many great stories, begins with a moment of inspiration. A moment that happened several years earlier. Back in 1993, a very popular rock band called Pearl Jam found themselves in a difficult situation. They had become frustrated with traditional concert venues because of problems related to ticket sales and pricing. They felt fans were not treated fairly, so they decided to do something bold. Instead of performing in the usual stadiums and arenas, they organized their own concert. And they chose a surprising location. The desert, the same place that would one day become Coachella. At the time, it seemed like a strange decision. But something unexpected happened. Thousands of people showed up. They traveled, they drove long distances, they gathered in the open desert just for the music. For the people at Golden Voice, this moment was incredibly important. It showed them something powerful. People were willing to go somewhere unusual if it felt special enough. That idea stayed quietly in their minds for years, almost like a small seed waiting beneath the soil, patiently waiting for the right moment to grow. And finally, that moment arrived. In October of 1999, the very first Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival was officially held. Yes, that was its full name. And even though it was the first attempt, it was not small. Golden Voice invited several well-known artists to perform. Musicians like Beck, Rage Against the Machine, and Tool took the stage. The desert air filled with music, soft vibrations echoing across the open sky. Crowds gathered under the wide horizon. People arrived feeling curious, excited, and full of energy. For many of them, this experience felt completely new. A festival not surrounded by buildings, but by mountains. Not inside walls, but under the endless sky. There was music, art, creativity, and a sense of freedom. A feeling many had never experienced before. And as you imagine the scene, perhaps you can picture the soft colors of twilight slowly appearing across the desert sky, just like the calm strokes of paint forming on the canvas you are watching now. It must have felt magical. But here is the quiet truth behind that first festival. Even though the experience itself was wonderful, the event was not successful financially. The costs were high. The crowd, while happy, was not large enough. And in the end, Golden Voice lost a significant amount of money. For any company, this can feel heavy. Just imagine. You build something new, you take a risk, You believe in it, and still, it doesn't work. Many people would stop there. They would say it didn't work. They would move on. And for a while, that is exactly what happened. The festival did not return the following year. In the year 2000, Coachella disappeared. No event, no music, no crowd, just silence. But this is what makes the story special. Even though the festival failed, the idea did not. The people behind it still remembered the feeling. The open sky, the music, the freedom. Deep down, they understood something important. The idea was not wrong. It just needed time. And this is a quiet lesson. Sometimes failure does not mean the idea is bad. Sometimes it simply means the moment is not ready yet. So that first Coachella planted something small. A beginning. A dream resting quietly in the desert sand. And dreams, like seeds, need patience. By now, you may feel your eyes growing heavier, your breath slower, your body more relaxed. That small dream had not ended. It was only resting, waiting quietly for its return. Because Coachella was never born as a success. It was built slowly, step by step, moment by moment. The brush on the canvas keeps moving slowly, spreading calm colors across the quiet surface. Beginning in 2002, the festival started to evolve. Coachella returned again with a slightly bigger plan. It became a 2-day event. Not too small, not too large, a balanced step forward. And slowly, people began to notice. More musicians joined. More fans traveled to the desert. The quiet valley that once felt still began to feel alive. For a few days each year, the desert changed. Music drifted through the air. People walked between stages. There was laughter, conversation, curiosity. But something else was happening too. Something that made Coachella different. It was not only about music. Yes, music was the heart. But around that heart, something special was growing. Large art installations appeared across the festival grounds. Creative shapes, colorful structures, imaginative designs. Some were playful. Some were beautiful. Some were mysterious. People could walk around them, take photos, or simply pause and enjoy the moment. There were open spaces to sit, to rest, to breathe. The entire place felt less like a concert and more like a living world. And that difference mattered. People were not just attending. They were experiencing something. A place where music, art, and nature came together. Imagine walking through the desert as the sun begins to set, the sky turning soft shades of pink and orange, music echoing gently in the distance, lights beginning to glow. Moments like that stay in memory. And when something feels special, people share it. Friends tell friends. Stories travel quietly. Someone says, "You should go at least once." Another says, "It feels different." Little by little, the word spread, not through loud advertising, but through real experience. And that kind of growth is powerful. Each year the festival improved. Better planning, stronger artists, smoother experience. Golden Voice listened carefully. They noticed what worked and what didn't. Then they adjusted, improved, prepared again, because real growth comes slowly, and the crowds began to grow. Not suddenly, not all at once, but steadily. Something else was changing too. Coachella began attracting many kinds of people. Different music styles filled the same space. Rock, hip-hop, electronic music, indie, pop, new sounds. All together. This made the festival richer, more open, more welcoming. You could walk from one stage to another and hear something completely different. For many, that made it exciting. It felt fresh. It felt alive. And when something welcomes everyone, it grows. By 2005 and 2006, something important had formed. A reputation. The name Coachella began to mean something. People recognized it. Artists wanted to perform there. Fans started planning their visits in advance. The lineup announcements became exciting moments. That was a big change. From uncertainty to recognition. But still, it was not yet massive. It was growing quietly, carefully. This stage is often the most important because it happens quietly while few people are watching. From the outside, everything looks normal, but inside, something strong is forming. Small improvements, better decisions, clearer direction, and slowly those small things build something lasting. Great success rarely appears overnight. It grows silently, with patience, with steady effort. Coachella did not suddenly become famous. It continued year after year, step by step, growing in the desert. And as you watch the gentle movement of the paintbrush across the canvas, you may feel your thoughts slowing now. Your body relaxing, your breath soft, your mind calm. Because just like the festival, this story is unfolding slowly, peacefully. If you're still here, still listening, take a soft moment and gently tap like. It helps this calm space reach more people. Subscribe if you'd like more peaceful stories like this. And before you drift further, tell me in the comments, are you listening from your bed or somewhere quiet tonight? I would really like to read all your thoughts. Take another slow breath. Let your shoulders soften and allow the calm rhythm of the story to carry you forward. The organizers had learned from early mistakes. They had improved the experience year after year. They had earned the trust of fans and musicians alike. And now, by 2007, the festival stood on a strong foundation. But even with all that progress, the festival was still mostly known within music communities. The next step would be something bigger, much bigger. It was time for Coachella to move beyond being simply popular and begin becoming truly global. And that transformation did not happen by chance. It happened because of one bold and powerful decision. The festival began inviting some of the biggest performers in the world. Think about how important this moment was. When a small festival invites unknown performers, it usually stays small. But when world-famous artists step onto the stage, the attention of the entire world follows them. And that is exactly what began to happen. During these years, Coachella welcomed legendary musicians. Artists whose music had already traveled across countries, across cultures, across millions of hearts. Icons like Prince, Radiohead, and many other celebrated performers appeared on the lineup. They were not just singers. They were moments in history. And when artists like these performed under the open desert sky, something quietly shifted. The world began to notice. Music fans in different countries started hearing the name Coachella. Conversations began to appear. Did you hear about that performance? That festival feels different. We should go there someday. Little by little, the attention expanded. Coachella was no longer just a place. It was becoming a stage for unforgettable moments. In the year 2012, something very important happened. A decision that would change everything. The festival introduced a 2-weekend format. Instead of happening once, it happened twice. The same artists, the same stages, the same experience, but across 2 different weekends. Why? Because more and more people wanted to be there. The demand had grown beyond what one weekend could hold. So instead of turning people away, they opened the doors wider. And the result was powerful. More people arrived. More energy filled the desert. More memories were created under the open sky. Coachella was no longer just a festival. It was becoming a cultural experience. And something else began to grow. A quiet feeling. Exclusivity. Tickets began selling out quickly. Sometimes in days, sometimes even faster. And when something becomes hard to reach, it becomes more desired. People didn't just want to attend. They wanted to say, "I was there." Now slowly, another force began helping the festival grow. Social media. People shared moments. Photos of sunsets, videos of performances, colors, lights, music, and suddenly millions of people who had never been there could feel it. Through a screen, through a moment, through a feeling. Artists noticed this too. For them, Coachella became more than a stage. It became an opportunity, a chance to create something unforgettable, a chance to leave a mark. And when artists feel that, they give their best. And those moments stay with people for years. Now, pause for a moment and think back to where this story began. A small idea in 1999. A risky beginning, a quiet failure. And now, a global stage. This transformation was not sudden. It was built slowly, through patience, through learning, through not giving up. Because real success doesn't arrive quickly. It arrives. For those who continue, step by step, year by year, without stopping. And now, as the soft brush continues to move across the canvas, you may feel your mind growing quieter. Your breathing slower. Your body softer as this story gently carries you forward, calm, steady, and peaceful enough to let you drift closer and closer to sleep. By this point in the journey, Coachella had already transformed itself. What once began as a risky experiment in the desert had slowly grown into something known around the world. Music fans spoke about it. Artists dreamed of performing there. Travelers planned their journeys months in advance, just to be part of the experience. But success often brings a different kind of challenge. Not failure, not lack of attention, but something unexpected. Too much demand. Pause for a moment and imagine this. People from all around the world dreaming of attending the same event. Thousands, then hundreds of thousands, and eventually millions. All hoping to be there. All wanting to feel that same energy under the open desert sky. But the festival still had limits. Only so much space in the desert. Only so many tickets. Only one weekend. And because of those limits, something began to happen. Tickets disappeared very quickly. Sometimes in just a few days. Sometimes within hours. People refreshed their screens again and again. Waiting. Hoping. But often, the tickets were already gone. You can almost feel that moment. The excitement turning into quiet disappointment. Wanting to be there, but not being able to. And moments like this are very important in any story of success. Because when demand becomes bigger than what you can offer, a choice must be made. Stay small. Or grow carefully. The team behind the festival chose to grow, but not in a rushed way, not in a careless way, in a thoughtful, balanced way. So in 2012, they made an important decision, a decision that would change everything. Instead of one festival, there would now be two. 2 separate weekends, the same artists, the same stages, the same atmosphere, but experienced twice. At first, it may sound simple, but it was not. It required planning, precision, care. Artists would now perform across 2 weekends. Everything had to run smoothly, not once, but twice. Sound, lighting, crowd flow. Every detail mattered. And most importantly, the experience had to feel the same. Because if one weekend felt better than the other, the magic could break. So they worked carefully, step by step, detail by detail. And in the end, both weekends carried the same energy, the same excitement, the same unforgettable feeling. And something interesting happened. Even after doubling the festival, tickets still sold out quickly, which revealed something powerful. Demand was not just high, it was unstoppable. The festival had moved beyond success. It had become something much bigger. Attendance grew, attention spread, and the festival itself began to evolve. Stages became larger, more immersive, lights brighter, experiences deeper. Art installations appeared across the desert. Massive sculptures, glowing structures, creative spaces where people could walk, explore, and simply feel. For a few days each year, the desert transformed from quiet emptiness into a living, breathing world of music and creativity. A temporary city filled with energy, connection, and moments people would never forget. And as the 2-weekend format continued, something else began to happen. People started comparing. Weekend 1 or weekend 2? Which felt louder? Which felt more alive? Which moment stood out the most? These conversations added even more excitement. Online, across social media, stories, videos, memories being shared again and again. And because there were 2 weekends, it felt like the festival lasted longer. Like the magic stayed just a little more. Brands also began to notice. They saw the attention. They saw the audience. And they understood something important. This was no longer just a music festival. It was a cultural moment. So they became part of it, creating experiences, interactive spaces, moments within moments. But through all this growth, one thing stayed the same: the feeling, the identity, the soul of the festival. Music, freedom, creativity, that quiet magic from the very beginning. And this brings a simple but powerful lesson. Growing bigger is not enough. You must grow the right way. without losing what made something special. And Coachella managed to do exactly that, reaching more people while keeping its essence alive. And now, as the painting continues softly on the canvas, you may feel your thoughts slowing down, your breathing becoming softer, your body relaxing deeper into stillness. There is nothing to rush, nowhere to go. Just this moment, just this calm rhythm, just this story moving forward, slowly, peacefully, carrying you gently toward rest. After many years of steady growth, careful decisions, small victories, and a few difficult moments along the way, Coachella eventually reached a place that very few events in the world ever reach. It became something more than just a music festival. It became a global icon. Today, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival is known all around the world. Every year, people begin planning their journey months in advance. Some travel across oceans. Some drive long distances through quiet highways and open land. All for one simple experience: to stand beneath the open sky, surrounded by music, art, and thousands of others sharing the same moment. But now, the audience is not only the people who arrive there. Millions more watch from their homes, from their phones, from their quiet rooms late at night. Through live streams and online broadcasts, the festival reaches far beyond the desert where it once began. And slowly, something changes. The excitement begins even before the music starts. Each year, people wait for one moment: the lineup announcement. When the names are revealed, they spread across the world almost instantly. People talk. They react. They imagine which artist they will see, which song might play, which moment might become unforgettable. And if you pause just for a second, it feels almost unbelievable. A festival that once struggled to survive now captures the attention of millions. And that kind of transformation does not happen by chance. It happens slowly, through patience, through belief, through steady effort over many years. Today, some of the biggest artists in the world have stood on that stage. Artists like Beyoncé, Bad Bunny, creating moments that people remember for years. For many performers, this is not just another show. It becomes a milestone, a moment where their music reaches the world. But Coachella is no longer only about music. Over time, it has become many things. A place for art, a place for fashion, a place for culture, a place where people gather not just to listen, but to feel. When you look at it this way, you begin to see something deeper. This is not just a story about a festival. It is a quiet lesson, a reminder of how success truly grows. Failure is not always the end. Sometimes it is the beginning of learning. And time matters. Great things take time. step by step. Slowly. Be consistent. Even when progress feels small, continuing forward changes everything. Make thoughtful decisions. Every small improvement, every careful choice shapes the future. And one more uniqueness. Coachella did not copy others. It created its own identity. Music, art, culture, atmosphere, all together in one place. And now, as we come to the end of this story, one final thought appears very gently. You do not need to begin with something big. You only need to begin. Because every success you see today once started as a small, uncertain idea. Coachella is not just a festival. It is proof that ideas can grow. Even after failure. Even after silence. With patience, with care, with time. And now, as the final brushstrokes settle softly onto the canvas, quiet stars appearing one by one. The music fades. The crowd disappears. And only stillness remains. If you enjoyed this quiet moment, here on Bedtime Stories on Canvas, you are always welcome to return. Anytime you need peace. Anytime you need rest. For now, let your thoughts slow down. Let your breathing soften. And gently allow yourself to drift into sleep. Good night.